just because it's so difficult to judge this team after a year. Obviously, Clubhouse hasn't really changed within that year. I think Bank has. I think Bank's changed quite a bit with how teams defend things, with how we see a much more fluid roam game that comes out now. I think things have changed, and I think that can be difficult for outsiders to adapt to, where I think a team like Mkers, they're in the thick of it. They love Bank. They love playing this map. They've got great ideas, I think, in terms of attack and defense. I think some good pocket rushes as well that certainly can come into play.
I think the Makers have got a lot of things going for them here. You think of Bank and you think it's a map that plays out far more similar to Chalet than it does to Clubhouse. It's a very big map. It's a map that players that are given a lot of time, given a lot of space, can really get away with quite a lot. And Makers have those players equally. Outsiders do have those players as well. Someone who potentially we're going to be looking for here is Dan. We always talk about Dan playing on the roam. We always talk about him playing on that Oryx. I don't know if it's warranted a full ban here. There's so many other things that you can ban here for Makers, whether you're going to take away a little bit more information, you're going to take away a Mirror, a Maestro, Echo, something of that nature. They're going to opt for a Cade and maybe just try and deter teams from going down into that basement and fortifying it so hard. Still, Nook, Ossa, and Valkyrie all to be removed here. We have outsiders starting off on the attack.
Where are they headed first, though? Looks to be, I would say, probably the open area, looking at that lineup. And
locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Going to be the case. And, obviously, I think you look at Makers, and they're a team which we know are very flexible. I think a lot of their players can do a lot of different roles. I don't think they're any, obviously, we keep referencing, Shepard and the joystick dilemma with Dan thrown in there. You know what you're going to get on the tin with those players. I feel for Makers, you don't really get that sense, where I think any of them can just appear and, pop off. Whereas Waxstars look more streamlined, you kind of know the team a little bit better. I still feel as though we're still figuring out this Makers team. I know that it's, still the same core that we've seen at Invite, 2 years ago now. But you've added in 2 new players since then. We're seeing Doro, we're seeing Sorry, and I still think we need to know more about these players. Because we've only ever seen them, Ollie, for what? A couple of weeks there in CL, and that was it?
Yeah, obviously they play inside of Italian Nats, but it isn't to the same level. It's nowhere near to the same level that they're playing at here and now. So that potential does really need to be shown and showcased. And obviously Invite's a really good opportunity for them to be able to do that and to play at that higher level of things. So this game and this map particularly means quite a lot. It's certainly streamlines the process if they are hopeful throughout the qualifiers as a whole. Winning here is a huge weight off your shoulders. It's far fewer games you have to play. You don't have to worry about any lower bracket shenanigans. You can just concentrate all on that upper bracket. Both teams going to be fighting just exactly for that here.
Concussion ready! Move out!
See the sticks in. The sledge, of course, can start ripping up some of the open area floor if he needs to. And also the tellers and archives if he wants to go for that. Depends if they have any information, if there's a heavy extension from the defense towards that side of the map, which is going to be one player, I think 2 players actually lurking towards that side, Ollie. But Sorry is gone out of there, not wanting to linger in that side of the map. And Makers very reserved, Ollie. They're not looking to give away any picks, which is a little bit different than how I think they approached Clubhouse, where they were actually really going for those kills and trying to get those opening picks. This time, don't want to give anything away.
It's a bit uncharacteristic of them, isn't it? Yeah. Usually they are more than up for a fight, and they are wanting to really get in your face quite early and have that opening engagement at around the 30-second mark, sometimes a little bit later. This time we're well into the final minute, and we haven't really seen anything exchanged too angrily just yet. Shepard going to drop himself down the skylight, see if he can make good on a little bit of information that he has, and try and stun out a little bit on into the site. It does pave the way for any nades to come through from joystick should he find the angle to do so. Always. going to be inside of Tellers. Does have quite a good line of sight there. He can start to cut across this site and restrict a lot of the movement that these players may be having. With the Azami up though, these barricades are going to be in slightly unpredictable locations. Sorry, he's going to find himself a first as the drop comes in. Joystick picks one up onto Gemini. Now firmly inside of the site and doing the business. Shepard, as ever, getting that kit down under the very solid cover here that is being provided. The nade perfectly cuts Sorry out, and he isn't able to swing in time, allowing that plant to go down, but it is all for naught. The retake is there. Outsiders getting themselves caught on the site there. It's all well and good getting the plant down, but you've got to be able to get away from it to effectively defend it. It looks as though Mkers were more than happy to oblige. Come in, plant the diffuser, and we will retake.
Outsiders made that actually pretty difficult for themselves, Ollie. I think anyway. If you look at who Joystick killed both players inside of open area. Like, once those two players are gone, Ollie, you can plant all day of the week. You don't have to try and push into cafeteria and kill the players there. You just get the plant down behind, you know, the desk in the corner. I feel as though everyone else there from Outsiders should have backed away from what they were doing, which I think was trying to kill players inside a cafeteria. And you start playing for the post plant. You should know, open area, if it's a 5v5 with 30 seconds to go, you know there's not going to be 5 people inside a site. That's not going to happen. You know they're not inside of Tellers and Archives. Because you have that control, at most there will be, what, 3 players inside a site. The other 2 can only be downstairs. Why are Outsiders not ready for that?
5 seconds to insertion.
It's simple knowledge. We know there's going to be blue flanks. We know there's going to be main stairs flanks. That's always going to happen in this bomb site.
Mkers, early lead here on the defense. They are now going to be opting to go downstairs, and they're going for this very popular extension. Not the castle. They haven't brought the Azami. It's a little bit unusual. Sometimes if you're going to try and extend and play in and round open, as they did in round number 1, of course that was the site, you can bring the Azami to work in and around the beepers area. No smoke either demo, only 1 C4, and your favourite, the Tachanka.
Not my favourite.
I know they played well last round, but you've got to be critical of this lineup.
Not my favourite. I just look at it and think anything Tachanka's going to bring to the table, Smoke's going to give you tenfold. Goyo's going to bring you tenfold. I hate Tachanka. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. That's the Mkers we know. Hunting for the first pick. And get just sat on their backside, Ollie.
Aqui's back, isn't he?
That's him.
The roaming mute. The thing is, the roaming smoke, the roaming mute used to be a little bit of a meme.
Roaming mute in 2023?
Now that the speed has changed.
No chance.
Now that the speed has changed, what can you do? Like, you've no business doing that sort of stuff. Especially if you're going for this extension. Because Gemini's relying on a bit of a network there to stay alive around him. If you're going to play with those hatches open, you want to be getting the most out of it possible. About the halfway point dropping off. Is it good enough? Potentially. Would you like to stay for a little bit longer? Absolutely. Lolo, he's going to find one onto Pasha. Shepard looking to make his way through this main lobby now. He too is going to be greeted with a very open hatch. It's the only saving grace that Mkers have got is that they are playing with the Oryx. Lolo has got the potential to hop up through these hatches if required for that late round flank.
Let's see where they're going to rotate now. If you're Outsiders, you're probably looking at trying to burn through any potential denial. That could be Koyo canisters. You probably also maybe fearing there could be a smoke hidden. You know, you have to be wary about smoke that could come in. Right now, also, Ollie, we can see everything because we have that luxury. The only thing they have to go through is Tachanka, which, again, in my opinion, not that good. And also the echo cams, which is... Does he even have any echo cams left up? It doesn't look as if he does, so... Mkers might be in hot water here, Ollie, with not the biggest amount of denial that they probably would want. Look, the Tachanka's missing where you'd want to get the plant down. Look at this, Ollie. See what I mean? Useless.
That's the worry, and that is the biggest problem. You look at that lineup, where is the denial? That plant went down inside of the fire for all
It didn't
intents
hit
and
him.
purposes.
It hit him.
And it doesn't hit the plant.
What's he doing? Oh my
Dora
goodness.
does manage to find himself one and keep himself alive. Gemini coming up trumps as well, but Shepard from above. He is going to be the guardian angel of that diffuser.
Big Shep.
Finds himself a couple. Honestly, Shepard, a plant and 2 kills post is... It's just a daily occurrence. It's almost a round by round occurrence for him at this point.
I can't believe this guy's been sat for a year doing nothing. I can't believe it. That's such a shame, is it not? That we've missed out on this guy for the past year.
Well, he's clearly been doing it somewhere because he's still got it.
Like,
he hasn't lost it just yet.
But Tachanka, Ollie, do you understand what I mean?
Oh, I've always understood what you mean. It's horrible. I know it. I know it's bad.
It's so.
Especially when it's the only point of denial that you're going to bring. If you were bringing other things, I can kind of get it.
Just, I've no words. Anywho, where are we at now? Top floor.
10 seconds to insertion.
Good to see that Akwi's off the. Akwi's been.
5 seconds.
He's been taken off the solitaire, Ollie. He's been relieved of duty.
Attackers' objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Probably a good thing. I'm guessing if I'm looking at probably how outsiders, you know, the way that you can see Makers have played. Makers have been, you know, probably not the first round, but the second round. Again, they were getting stuck in, you know, they were sticking their heads out. They were looking for the opening picks. I think outsiders have done really well to quell, you know, that approach from Makers. They've done exceptionally well.
Outsiders are doing a really good job, in my opinion. Bank isn't always easy to attack onto. Makers are known to be an aggressive team. They're known to be that chaotic side. But outsiders, as we've always said, they play that consistent style of Siege. They play the let's make the fewest mistakes possible and do a very similar thing every single round and reap the rewards from that. Certainly seems to be working. Gemini, first of all. And that can maybe was on sort of banana area. Looking into those double windows. Sorry. Will reply, though. Does take Dan out. Dan, a little bit of a quieter start here. 1 and 3. Pasha as well. 0 and 2. The dizzying heights that he found himself on our previous map of Clubhouse is yet to make significant impact kill-wise here in this third map.
Makers?
It's outsiders to a T, though, isn't it, Demo? Slow and steady.
But I think Makers, this is better from them this time. They're not sticking their heads out windows. They're not giving picks away. I think that they're showing outsiders a great deal of respect. And you have to respect this team. I know I said about... Why do I speak? Why can I not just shut up sometimes? Why?
I can tell you this now, though. You saying anything has no bearing on what happens in the game.
No, it does.
Guarantee.
No, it does. It does. It just does.
Guarantee.
No.
3-3.
Like, I was praising Makers. Like, they're playing it safe, they're playing it slow, and then they stuck their head out. Which is what I didn't want to see.
Well, it happens. It's all now about how they bounce back from it. Lion Scan coming in, always flying himself on through. Pasha staying outside just to try and provide that little bit of extra cover. Shepard, he picks himself up one as he walks up these spiral stairs. Do still have Solace alive. Sorry, is going to be able to scan things out from below. He will also be able to see where the plant is going down and feed that information across. It's being fed across beautifully as Akwi's moved through and picked himself up too, but the plant has gone down. Shepard not in a position to really do anything about this, despite it being a 1 versus 1. All he can do is pre-fight Shepard. No, he gets the kill! Akwi, why did you come off it? Why did you immediately go to peek? Oh dear, Demo. Oh dear, oh dear.
You're not beating Shep. You're not beating him. You're not...
Honestly.
You're not beating... Today, this guy... I don't think Shepard's put a foot wrong today.
He hasn't lost a single important engagement.
I don't think he's... Boy, he's on it today. He really is.
I have no idea how Shepard wins that. He's got no business winning that.
Just Shep, innit? Just...
Goodness me, that is a tilt
Does it-
as well for me.
Can I speak for everyone and say, does it not feel good to see these guys back in action?
It feels great.
Does it not? It just... You know... What can you say? You're rolling back the years.
I told you, Demo, the band is back together.
Like, this is where, you found your old... You found your old hobby. And it's as beautiful as the day that you left it.
10 seconds to insertion. Attackers have located.
Can they go the whole hog though? Still very early days in this one.
The
It feels
whole,
like a
the whole
10th game
who?
as well.
The whole what? What's
whole
that?
hog.
What's the whole hog?
Heading out to defuse a bomb.
I think it's like a food reference or something. Like
Oh, like a whole pig.
like yeah, like if you were doing
Oh
like
my
a
goodness.
party, would you do like the whole hog? Like how many people are coming, sort of
What,
thing.
like the Hawaiian luau's with like the pig on the barbecue?
Something like that, yeah. Or would you do, because I mean, half a it doesn't sound as good, does
I mean,
it?
could you eat a whole pig?
No, but I think if you invited enough people, you would. So you would do the whole hog.
Not a fan of pork. Not a fan.
Taking a look around.
Alright, anywho, new pickup. We see a pulse, Ollie, which comes into Freya things. Akwi has picked it up, so they've really sacked off the Solus idea, Ollie.
It's Solace with less steps, isn't it?
I mean,
It's just Solace with less utility.
I mean, I wouldn't really, combine the two of them as like in the same process. What? Okay, I get it.
It's super similar though, isn't it?
I get what you're
you
saying.
can see heartbeat versus electric. Like, you won't be able to see joystick anymore because we all know joystick's a cyborg.
Why you need Solus?
Exactly.
Always, I'll never forget that theory about joystick. But him, was part of the 70s program in the Cold War, and then they brought him out to play Siege. I'll never forget that. Super cyborg.
Not much super going on in this round. It's all very slow and steady again. Feels like Bank is really taking a while for both teams to get comfortable moving too quickly. Obviously, Makers are usually that team that's moving a bit quicker than Outsiders.
I need to see Outsiders be ready for the flanks. That's one thing which I think that they have been a little bit hit or miss on, is actually being able to protect the flanks. I wouldn't say there's been like any incredible flanks in this series so far today, but I think it's a cause for caution. If you're Outsiders, you need to be ready for that. I think if they can do the same thing again, where they get the drones in during the later stages, find out where the players are in open area, send joystick in, do the business, get the kill. I like the fact that I don't think Dan was there last time, rotating Dan towards single window, and that is going to reward them with a kill. Just that little switch rotation, Ollie. The sightlines that he can get, combo that with the information, it's a deadly position to play.
Always with a nice swing in there, is going to find success as well as the kills keep coming. Gemini forced to drop. This just goes to show how effective this Outsiders team can be. They might not have been successful the first time attacking this site, but you better believe that they are going to right the wrongs and correct those mistakes. Gemini might have been allowed upstairs, but Joystick was aware. A little bit of an angle there, opened up previously by the defenders. We all know they work both ways. Much better round from Outsiders. And honestly, the sign of a dangerous team. If they can go back to a site, attack it entirely differently, where in terms of where positioning, where the plant's going down, what's going on. They've got so many ideas about how they want to approach these sites, and they showed that dynamic sort of ability right there and then. Makers, it's time for a timeout, I'm afraid.
Timeout that I think is definitely needed, Ollie. 3 round down, you've lost 3 in a row. You need to figure out what you can do to push on and get that even split, at the least. It's a tricky one for Makers. Is it bad? Is it bad for me to say that I don't really feel as though Makers can really do much right now? I just feel as though that Outsiders, they're looking unstoppable. I really do think that the club has momentum, it's pulled it forward.
Outsiders certainly look good at the minute.
Like, I'm finding it tricky for Makers to just what is their plan B? Because plan A isn't working. Plan A is they're trying to be a little bit more passive. Outsiders have clocked that, and look what they've done.
Things aren't looking great for Makers, and this shows the mark of a team that has a little bit of depth to it. Can they use that timeout effectively to sort of steady the ship and right some of the wrongs, as it were? Because so far, things have not been going great. They could certainly be going a lot better for them. But the game is by no means over. It's 3-1. Still relatively early days. You could still come out of this with just, you know, with an equal share of the spoils. And I just don't think that they should be too concerned. They just need to start playing the kind of siege that they know is going to work. Now, for all the laughing and joking and the criticism that we give about the Tachanka pick, you've got to look at how it works. Last time when they brought no other denial, and the plant literally went down inside of the Tachanka smoke. So I would now like to see, okay, you can bring the Tachanka, but don't let this come down to a plant denial game. Try and take the fight a little bit further forward. And that looks like that's what they're going to be doing now. They're going to be going and saying, you know what? We're not looking to deny the plant here. We're looking to keep them away from the site as a whole. And we're going to do that with Solace. We're going to be trying to find people out on the windows and giving Lolo chances to jump out, which is exactly what is going to happen. Picks off the joystick and should be able to get himself almost safe. Not quite. Pasha hops out of that main door, and despite Oryx being one of the, well, the fastest operator inside of the game, wasn't able to get away in time.
One thing that really shocked me, that's been the first jump out the Makers have went for, and that's not Makers-esque. Or, I mean, for Makers not to go for jump outs isn't Makers-esque. Them jumping out of windows is what I expect from this team. And that's the first one that they went for, and I maybe think, is that the mentality if they kind of had that time out and thought, guys, let's play our siege. Let's play the way we always play. We don't care who it is. Let's get in there. Let's get in their faces. Let's get the jump outs going. If we win, we win. If we don't, we have another chance at another game. You know, that's it for Makers. You know, what do you ever want to walk away from this competition and think, oh, maybe if we did this, go and leave everything. Be proud of what you want to do. And I think for Makers, what they've just done is what I want to see more of.
I would like to see them aggress. I'd like to see them, you know, stay true to the roots, like you say, Demo, and play their style of siege, because it's aggressive, it's exciting. When they get, they're very quickly getting dragged into this slow but steady style that outsiders do, and that is, like we say, the style. We will do the same thing all over and over, and we won't make as many mistakes. Gemini there with a nice refrag from Pasha. Wasn't able to get the main offender, but will at least be able to bring back the man count level. Still playing inside of open as well. Very important at this point in the round. Much better as well, because you think about they were dropping off outside of open at about the halfway point last time. Gemini with the swing, just not successful. Shepard in position again. As you said earlier, Demo, barely putting a foot wrong all day. Biggest problem now that outsiders have got is that they need to start making some breaches or getting themselves into the site, and there's still an Echo to deal with. We talked about the denial from the Tachanka not working last time. Echo's still alive, and all of those yokais are up. We see a Hail Mary of fire come through. Is it going to be enough? Dora, he draws to the secondary, finds himself one. Shepard, he's getting the plant down. Is there going to be a yokai camera in position? Dan fighting as he might. Shepard allows to get the plant down, but quickly taken out. Makers, they hold on. The denial didn't work again. It came down to the gun skill. Scrappy stuff indeed, but they get a round over the line.
Just, whew. Another close one, and honestly, another round that I thought Makers were just going to lose. You have to remember, the thing about Tachanka is if you have the gadget out, you don't have a gun. Like, if someone runs at you, you're not going to be able to kill them. That's like that's the biggest issue that I have with Tachanka personally. Is obviously, I know the gadget's a bit still. I mean, just a lot of it. I mean, yeah, I mean, he's just not good, is he? But one of the reasons why he's not good is because he doesn't have an actual gun with his gadget. Same reason why Grim is a bit, you know, because, again, if you're using the gadget, you don't have a gun out.
Good to see Makers getting themselves around on the board there. I think that was much needed And there is still a chance at an equal share of the spoils out of this first attacking phase for Outsiders and first defensive phase for Makers. They're really banging the red against this site though, aren't they, Demo? So far, the 50-50. However, with the way that Outsiders approached it last time, I'd be a little bit more concerned. Now, we're seeing quite a different lineup here from Makers. We're going for a little bit more aggression in terms of we're going to focus on these drones in a different way. Instead of the Solace, we're going to focus on them with the Mozzie Pests and, of course, those Mute Jammers.
Let's see Makers.
On the flip side, making good use of the Twitch drone.
I want to see Makers again. I want to see them get out windows. I want to see them out there. I want to see them get in the faces. I like the aggression. I think the aggression works well for them. You think about just that little bit of aggression, just that little bit of pace that you slow down, and, you know, whenever you lose a player, especially if it's, you know, I mean, I think they lost, was it joystick last time? You know, you lose a player and you think, okay, we've lost this player. You know, you kind of have to think about, okay, now what do we need to do to, like, you know, adapt to that? And just that little bit of time that teams take to adapt, that's enough to see you over the line. And that's kind of what happened. You've seen that run out of time, didn't they? Outsiders.
Time has really been a problem for both sides, I think, today. When Makers have been drawn into this slow style of play, they've struggled on time. Likewise, Outsiders, they've been a little bit on the slower end of things as well. Although have performed under pressure when they've had to. Sorry, currently inside a stock. Looking to hold that a bit firmer here as well. This has previously been a big point of focus for Outsiders to get into stock, rip the floor open up the hatch if necessary. I dare say that Pasha wasn't expecting to swing his shock drone in and immediately see somebody there. Looking for a little bit of a pinch here. This is trademark Outsiders where they throw everything at one player, but always he gets caught out. The push wasn't succinct enough. Joystick has to come through and finish the job. They would have liked to have gotten that done for a little bit less of a cost, particularly as you're looking at Always and thinking there's a lot of soft destruction that has just gone with that.
You're not beating the stick, are you, Ollie? Whenever he's in that element.
Not at all.
4v4, 45 seconds, and again, just getting that kill for Makers, it's going to waste a bit of time. That's what it's going to do. And now Pasha, he has to take the position that usually always pushes in from, which is towards that archive side of things. Dan on that window picks up another kill. Makers, Dan ruined you from it last time. Surely you should be ready for that one. Oh, I love this, Ollie. An Oryx flank up a hatch.
This is what we wanted to see from Makers, isn't it? This is the aggression we wanted, but Joystick's just better. Immediately shut down by Acqui. 10 seconds left on the clock as the collapse comes into sight. Acqui has still got a part to play here. Goes for a C4 from Beeper's door and looks for a bit of a swing. Picks the long shot onto Dan Shepard again, getting the kit down, but it could all be for naught. The diffuser will be confirmed. It's 1 versus 1. Shepard, he's been so successful all day. Look at him go, Demo. This is another occasion that Shepard stood up.
He just doesn't lose. He just doesn't lose. He just... Oh, he's bloody brilliant, isn't he? He just is. I'll tell you...
I've never seen anything like it.
I'll tell you one thing.
I've never seen consistency like it.
I'll tell you one thing. No matter what happens after today and tomorrow for Outsiders, best believe they'll be back with a vengeance going into this next stage.
They've got to be, haven't they?
Best believe. Like, the boys are back.
Honestly, it's almost as if, and this doesn't exist in Siege, but it's almost as if when Shepard is around the diffuser, he gets like +10 everything. +10 aim, +10 awareness.
How many plants has he got?
Like,
how many plants has he got?
Whenever that diffuser is down, he's absolutely mustard. He's great the rest of the time. We just don't always see his contribution. But in that 1 versus 1, when the kit's down or when he's trying to fight back, he is disgusting. 8-2 he currently sits. We've seen 6 rounds. More than 1 kill a round.
He's a support. Just let everyone know.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
Right. 4-2 split. Makers, I feel as though again for Makers for the attack, they need to figure out a playstyle and stick to it, which I don't think they were doing in the defense. I think they were chopping and changing too much. I don't think they had one set idea in mind and kept sticking with it. It kind of feels as though if something didn't work, scrap it, something new. And they just keep recycling it, and it just, there's nothing that ever clicked. I would rather see them go with one approach and go for it. I want to see them either play fast, aggressive, take the trades, which is what I think they did in Chalet on their attacks, or they play the same way Outsiders, and you take it slow, you look for your picks. Again, we mentioned before, Ollie, Outsiders, whenever they're roaming, they're maybe not as together as what you would like them to be, so there's opportunities just to get a quick pick and go.
I think Outsiders are a fairly...
Here's one of these opportunities.
Pick off, potentially.
Here's one of them.
Look at where Shepard is right now, and he's currently being droned.
If he gets
drone work
misdroned.
going to be good enough? Gemini, you better than this? Yep, is going to discover him. Now, how is the net going to Titan? We hear the copy window getting opened. It's going to be your first point of worry. Akwi, inside of staff. Has the long angle. Shots exchanged, but Shepard, look at him go! Unbelievable stuff here. Picks himself up another. I wouldn't want to be challenging Shepard.
Give him the hammer. Give him the hammer. Give him the hammer.
Don't challenge him one by one.
Give him the hammer.
I mean, great, well played by Shepard, but shocking roam clear from Mkers.
Of course.
One at a time?
Yeah.
The heat that he's on?
There's no bite. Remember I mentioned the thing about Mkers and the consistency. They either roll over and they give you everything, or they bite and they take everything from you. Right, we're seeing the Mkers that's rolling over. That's what I feel as though we're seeing. There's no bite. Good shot.
A good shot. One good shot is not always enough, but it's something that could spark a little bit. Because believe me, Mkers, they desperately need it here. Joystick inside of stock. He was going to get taken out as well. So for all the hard work that Shepard put in at the start of the round,
look at the time.
Slowly but surely being undone. 25 seconds left to go. Always hiding out here inside of Janitor. Going to go for a quick swing. Finds himself some success.
Lippy.
Wall will still be opened though. Lolo is going to go looking. Always keeping himself nice and fluid. Not staying anywhere for too long. Sorry, going to get himself in. Pick up the diffuser. 8 seconds left. He's going to have to start trying to get that down. There's potential for information here, and there's still a C4 in Pasha's hands. Lolo, he's on his 3rd kill of the round. There is players on cameras, but no one really looking to try it and deny. Great shot from Pasha. Sorry, is going to be allowed.
Where are you going?
But no, look at Shepard. Shoots him in the back. Where do you think you're going, my friend? You ain't getting out on the windows on us today. He's planted enough of him. He knows how to disable him. Shepard, plenty of time to disable that diffuser.
I'm telling you, it's worked so beautiful. That's the Shepherd's crook, isn't it? Where he just took the sheep back. Nope, where are you going? Oh, I'm telling you, he's just... I'm sitting here with a smile on my face. I really am.
Different level.
Just a different gravy.
Level
Different
entirely. But we've seen it from all of them today. We've seen it from Pasha. Think back to his clubhouse game. It was impeccable. Similar stats to what Shepard's sporting now. You know, think back to Chalet. Great to see. It really is great to see.
Right, now where do we go?
Outsiders currently have a 3-round lead on Mkers in what will be the final map here between these two teams. Winner, of course, going on to play Secret. Now, to be honest, I don't know who I fancy.
I rehost.
I'm going to hit a quick rehost. So, having a little bit of trouble somewhere along the line.
I think. Right, well, now we can take a minute, Ollie, just to recollect ourselves. And figure out.
It's just exciting, isn't it? I think it's just exciting.
And just figure out what Mkers can do.
Like, I'm not sure at this point.
Like I wasn't sure since they took that time out. Like I was just watching and thinking, you know, what is the game plan? I didn't see a clear game plan. Like, I think you have to look at Outsiders, and they are just playing their siege. They're doing it their way. They're under real no pressure, I think, from Makers at the moment. Makers really haven't been making them sweat it out. And I just think against a team like Outsiders, you have to play aggressive against them. That's what I think anyway. I think they're a rigid team where if they lose a certain player who plays a certain position, it can cause a lot of issues for a team like Outsiders. I think Makers should have attacked it like that, but they haven't. I think they've been too timid. I think they've dropped off quite a lot. I think they've given Outsiders too much control. Outsiders are a team where if everything goes their way, they'll put you in the canal. You're done. And I think they've shown that. I just don't know all. I don't see a possibility here for Makers. I really don't.
It's starting to become slimmer and slimmer, isn't it, as the rounds are ticking by? I think for me, the biggest thing for Makers, I don't think that they're true to themselves.
It's not the Makers we've seen in Chalet. The Makers in Chalet is everything we expect from it, and look how good that worked. And now it feels as though they're trying to dance to the tune the Outsiders are playing, which makes no sense to me. Get your own music blasted up. Go play your Siege. That's what I want to see. Like I said, I've said it so many times, in competitions like this, in every game you play, maybe not so much for like a league game or something like that, right? But for a tournament like this, you have 2 days of Siege to play, potentially only 1 day. For the biggest competition that you will ever play in, why would you leave anything? Why would you leave anything at home? Why would you not sit there and say, after everything that happened, at least we did everything we could? Because you never want to be sitting there and thinking, maybe if we did this. And you're always wondering, what if? Go out and play your Siege. If you lose, you lose. There's no shame in losing. But to lose by not playing to your best that we know you can, that's the shame in it. If you lose and the team's just better than you and you've played your Siege and you've played as best as you can, all credit to you. But if you're going into a game and you're not playing the Siege that you should be playing, that's the shame in it.
Yeah, Makers could be a little bit truer to themselves here, I think, in the style of Siege that they're playing.
I just want to see them go out.
Certainly looks over the last
run.
couple of rounds they've been playing a little bit scared. And that's not the Makers that we know. Looks as though we're just about getting everybody ready and performing our final checks before sending ourselves back into the game. Once again, we thank you for bearing with us here. Outsiders, currently steaming ahead here, but it is still not over yet. Potential for a bit of a late round comeback, I guess, from Makers, if they have it in the tank. And especially at the turn of the half, I think that's always a good opportunity to really book the trend of how things have been going. 5-2 currently to Outsiders. Not an insurmountable deficit, but a deficit nonetheless.
Open area is where we head. So what have Outsiders got cooking? Oh, they got Ollie. How are they going to approach it? I see a Capcan, which is always fun. Always fun to see a Capcan. One of your favourites, if I'm not mistaken.
I like Capcan.
Any? Would you like to go further into that, perhaps? Why do you like them? You know, what is it you like about them?
It's a way that players that haven't, and I'm talking specifically about myself.
Yeah,
here.
I was going to say, were you about to call Dan has no skill? Because if you were, we'd have a few issues there.
Players that want to outthink their opponent, can outthink their opponent.
So what does it
by placing tactical Capcan traps?
So is that what Capcan means to you? It's to do up with your lack of skill.
Well, no, because the skill is just different. The skill isn't mechanical. The skill is thought. It is outwitting your opponent as opposed to out gun-skilling your opponent. Nice and simple.
You're a real game changer, you. Oh, dear.
I mean, that's a bit of a game changer, isn't it? Like, that's just a mess.
2 drones stacked up in the window because the mute jammer's caught it. Always an issue.
It's a good job the mute jammer caught it, though, because it was going to explode otherwise and destroy the drone anyway.
It's good info there, it has to be said, from the drone work. Knows exactly where Shepard is. But, I mean, if you know that, do you want to push Shepard at the moment? Like, is that a player you want to try and challenge?
Honestly, I wouldn't go anywhere near it.
That's not a call of, oh, let's go kill this guy. That's it. Let's avoid this guy. Let's go somewhere else.
Yeah, push somewhere else.
Exactly.
Pash is in a bit of a tough spot here, isn't he? The wall's getting opened up behind him. He's got the potential for a Monty pushing through his double.
He's getting maybe it's a big maybe, but he could maybe snag a kill and then probably trade off. But if he kills the Monty, if Monty isn't aware, Monty shows his back to him, then they're in business.
He's giving the game away a little bit.
He has. He's on the wall now. They know where he is. Honestly, I think he probably could have just chanced it there, but he's went with a safe play.
The thing is, I just don't see him getting a kill from this spot now. He knows.
No, he won't.
Everybody knows where he is. Gemini, nice and far away out of the blast radius of that C4.
Why am I hearing
Pasher is wasting a good deal of time here, though, and his teammates are coming in.
Dora's unshielded.
Joystick, he manages to pick up one. Dora is downed on the Monty, so that's almost as good as a kill, especially with where he is at the moment. Not only that, this diffuser cold demo. It's a pretty big blunder there from Mkers.
It is.
Shepard's still down below as well. He's just biding his time, honestly. Gemini, his moments are numbered here because you just know that Shepard is going to pick his perfect time to push and to take advantage. Now, obviously, pending any drones that could be down there or not. Always going to be taking a little bit of a beating there through the soft wall and just opening himself up a couple more lines of sight. But Doro,
they know about Shep.
Let the diffuser get revived and start to get that plant down. Always successful with the pick over onto Acqui. That plant, it really relies a lot now on Shepard doing something from below. He's isolated himself from the rest of his team. There's still a man count advantage here for Outsiders, but they've got a hell of a reset to get underway. Shepard picks up another. He hasn't lost a gunfight in 3 rounds. Always finds one onto Dora. Sorry, going to be the next player to fall. 3 kills on the round for Always. More than enough time to disable that diffuser. This Outsider team is terrifying. They're 1 round away, Demo.
Yeah, all of that. They're just waiting for Shepard to do his thing, aren't they? Nobody's frantically pushing in. They know they have 40 seconds only. Staying cool, calm, collected. Mkers, they've brought in the Monty. Look at that attack. That attack was literally one guy in copy repel, open up quad wall, and try and plant behind the bench, which I think works, but I think if you're going for that play, I think you rush it. I don't think you play it slow. Because if you play it slow, it lets then the defense start to rotate in position. Dan can start getting himself ready for the flank above. Shepard starts getting prepared from below. You hit it quick. Shepard ain't going to be able to have the time to go from archives all the way downstairs. Dan is going to have to rush all the way around the top floor. Can't take his time and try and figure out what's the best avenue for approach. You hit it fast. You don't give Outsiders a chance to breathe. That's probably the only thing I would say for Mkers. Like I said, they're a team that can play fast off the fly. It works so well for them in Chalet. I just think if you give Outsiders the chance to think about what they can do, they'll punish you.
Absolutely.
10 seconds left.
I mean, Shepard hasn't lost a gunfight in 3 rounds.
Attackers are
He's untouchable. He just is.
You wouldn't even believe his current EPS if I told you. So I'm not going to bother. 181.
181?
181. Unbelievable. And that's with joystick at like 140 something as well.
And that's like good. He's like exceptional. Like I said, he's played an almost perfect best of 3.
Yeah.
He has not. I have not seen him slip up.
There's time, but I don't see it happening. I'll be honest with you. 1 round. Mkers. Make it count. Still chance to get back in this thing, but the odds of that chance actually happening are diminishing quite substantially and quite quickly.
Going
to attack
from Outsiders
downstairs here as well. Oh, look at what they're going up against as well, Demo.
I mean, this is just what Mkers were missing, wasn't it? An actual lineup. Smoke, Goyo, Maestro. Like, what?
You mean actual utility and denial?
Yeah, I just, you know, I mean, like, if you're Mkers, I think you probably would look back at this map and think, yeah, why weren't we doing this? Why have we made it difficult? I feel as though Makers have just made it difficult for themselves in Bank. I really do.
Yeah, they didn't make it easy for themselves. You know, they were playing a bit of a different way. They were playing the castle upstairs. They were playing the open hatches. They were playing that sort of a game because they know outsiders are slow and they know that outsiders will take a good deal of time to make something happen, but they can also perform under pressure and they don't need that much time. That's just the way of the world.
There. Look at that, 3 Goyo canisters. 1 still remains though, Ollie, which they haven't got. Oh, there it goes. So this will leave them with roughly around 20 seconds. Oh!
There's still one canister.
Where? There we go. Right, still should leave them with around about 20 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, I think, to get the plant down. What else do they have in the back there, Ollie? And smoke! This is how it's supposed to be played. This is what Basement's all about.
And this is why Outsiders, for me, are exciting to watch, because it's so simple, it's so straightforward, but it's just executed so well. It doesn't have to be complicated every time. Smoke now going to do a lot of the hard work here in terms of cutting out the rest of this round. Dora getting choked up a little bit, can't find the spot to get that diffuser down. He's dancing on the threshold. He's eventually going to commit and go for it. Kills trading either way. Time at 0-0. Dan and Joystick clean up the final 2. And that's all she wrote for Bank and the series here. Outsiders going through, beating Makers 2 maps to 1.
Yeah, Outsiders, just, what can you say? They're back! They are back! Oh, feels good. Feels good to see them on top of their game, proceeding through, and they will be, of course, playing against Team Secret. Ollie, if you're Secret and you've watched that, and obviously Secret, they'll know the caliber of those players. You know, these are respected figures in the scene. You know, they've been around for ages. You know, Kendra has battled against these guys for years now. Secret need to be on top of their game, because I feel as though you need to play perfect against Outsiders. I think they're one of those teams where if you slip up once, you're done. You're punished. And that's the caliber of world champion teams.
It really is. And Makers have felt the full wrath of that today. Makers are going to drop down into the lower bracket semi-final against Na'Vi. Outsiders advance on through into our upper bracket final against Team Secret. We're going to cut to a short break. We'll be back with our desk to break down that game and to set us up. We still have another game coming here today, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few.